It is our custom to begin our time together with the lighting of a chalice, the sacred symbol of our religious tradition. Can I control fire? I can control fire. All right. These words are by Frederick Douglass. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument is needed. Oh, had I the ability and I could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not the light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. And its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. Good morning. That was fun to read. Thanks, Derrick. I was like, I had to do a little fire and brimstone there. Welcome to our multi-platform space here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Miami. As a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association, we bring a religious voice to the great city of Miami. As a city, not as a city, adding words that don't belong, a city we acknowledge that sits on the traditional lands of the Tequesta, the Seminole tribe of Florida, and the Mississauga tribe of Indians of Florida. I am Andy Arthur, your worship associate for today. My pronouns are she, her. I am wearing a black paisley top with a multi-quilted purple jacket over it. Up on the chancel with me is our pianist, Joseph Toledo, and Derrick Mustelier, who is leading us in worship today. Derrick uses they, them pronouns. You, my, and Joseph uses he, him pronouns. Let's get all the pronouns out. And we welcome whatever pronouns you use. UU Miami is a community of brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. Currently, our Sunday services are guided by the worship committee, whose purpose is to support and strengthen the voices of our shared ministry. While services will be, I am just having like real dyslexia in this moment. I apologize, y'all. While services will be led by voices from the Miami community and the Unitarian Universalist faith, we are committed to nurturing and uplifting the spiritual leadership with individuals within our own congregation. And we invite you to learn more about us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, under the handle UUC Miami. Or you can email our communications director, Jairo, at communications@uumiami.org for more information. And if you've attended a few of our services, consider becoming a member. Woo! Talk to anyone with a yellow lanyard or name tag. They're all sitting throughout the space. They would be happy to talk to you about membership. And now we have a fun, responsive reading.
Okay, so in lieu of our unison affirmation today, I invite you to join me in this responsive reading that I sort of pieced together from the words from The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. And the words will be on the, yes, see, there I am. The reader is me, obviously. You're the congregation. I know this is complicated stuff, but I had to explain it, obviously. I amar me prestar sen. Han mathon nenen. Han mathon neche. Ahan noston ned willeth. Much that once was is lost. And now Bob will be leading us in hymn number 70 in the gray hymnal, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," and the words will be on the screen. We're doing verses 1, 2, 4, and 6. So the 4 and 6 are at the bottom there if you check that. All right, let's go.
All right.
Joseph, go ahead. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are just a seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are just a seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
All right, thank you. Woo!
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, Don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Hello. Now, let's sing the children out to their religious exploration classes. Bob, you want to help me out on this one? Joseph? May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace. Why don't you, since we're doing joys and sorrows next, Bob, you're already here, so.
Good morning, everybody. In this glorious sunrise day, our tribe gathers here in our UU way and occur for each other, sharing all we wish to say. Our Miami weather now is crystally bright and dry, with golden sunlight pouring from a beautiful blue sky. We explore modern society by gathering here to learn from conversations with love and without fear, with a smile and a hand bump, or even a nice hug, and be with each other as snug as a bug in the rug.
I should have introduced, yes. Also, I forgot to turn the lights back on. Yes, so we are now sharing our joys and sorrows in our hearts as a community. We support you in both your grief and your happiness. When you come forward, please state your name. Remember, the service is live streamed, so those online can also share in the chat. And so if you just come up here, if you have any joys or sorrows to share. Anyone? Here? All right, great. Stand over here. For the camera, we gotta get framed up. Right here, just right here is fine.
Hi, I'm Mark, and my sorrow is that in this world, ignorance is a renewable resource, but knowledge is a challenge to attain and to cultivate. And we're seeing a pervasive shift to people adopting conspiracy theories and following, the MAGA cult movement. Just finished an audiobook on QAnon, and it's become a mainstream phenomenon. And we have to push back, with nonprofits. We have to push back with the church. We have to push back with unions. We have to push back with educators. And so I guess the silver lining in all this is there's plenty of work to be done.
So true. Any other joys or sorrows? No? There's no joy or sorrow in the room today? My goodness. What kind of UU church is this? I'm kidding. We share in all those joys and sorrows expressed and all those, many, apparently not expressed, but very much with us always.
We, in this quiet corner of England, have suffered the loss of friends very dear to us. Some close to this church. George West, choir boy. James Ballard, station master and bell ringer. And the proud winner, only an hour before his death, of the Belden Cup for his beautiful Minerva Rose. And our hearts go out in sympathy for the two families who share the cruel loss of a young girl who was married at this altar only 2 weeks ago. The homes of many of us have been destroyed, and the lives of young and old have been taken. There's scarcely a household that hasn't been struck to the heart. And why? Surely you must have asked yourselves this question. Why, in all conscience, should these be the ones to suffer? Children, old people, a young girl at the height of her loveliness. Why these? Are these our soldiers? Are these our fighters? Why should they be sacrificed? I shall tell you why. Because this is not only a war of soldiers in uniform. It is a war of the people, of all the people. And it must be fought not only on the battlefield, but in the cities and in the villages, in the factories and on the farms, in the home and in the heart of every man, woman, and child who loves freedom. Well, we have buried our dead, but we shall not forget them. Instead, they will inspire us with an unbreakable determination to free ourselves and those who come after us from the tyranny and terror that threaten to strike us down. This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Sorry for the abrupt ending. That wasn't me. That was the video. But now, I get to talk to you. My favorite part. I'd like to tell you about my favorite horror movie of 2024. because it's also one of the most important films of 2024. It's called I Saw the TV Glow. On the surface, it's just a movie about two kids who are kind of obsessed with this TV show called The Pink Opaque. However, at its core lies a brutally honest and yet strangely hopeful allegory for the transgender experience. One of the kids, Owen, is assigned male at birth, and Owen seems to realize in that moment that they might want to be a girl or maybe another gender altogether. The thing is, Owen's living situation is pretty repressive, especially when it comes to things like gender roles. So Owen is never given any space to explore what their gender could be, and ends up living as a man for many years, at least until they're old and gray. At which point Owen seems to suddenly realize all of this and suddenly screams in horror that they're dying. But as we watch Owen resign themselves to a life of pretending to be something they're not, a message of pure, luminous hope appears. There is still time. There is still time to be who you want to be, to do the things you want to do, to change the things you can't accept. Trans people have been sharing some incredible stories about this, how this movie has helped them embrace who they are on the inside, made them feel less alone. Representation is so important, but maybe even more important are stories like this one, told by people like non-binary filmmaker Jane Schoenbrunn, who directed I Saw the TV Glow. People whose voices we don't often hear from very much, or have even been actively suppressed for many years. People with perspectives and experiences different from our own. The cinema has incredible power to move, to inspire, to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable, or even, I believe, to guide us in changing our very reality by facilitating our imaginations to open new doors of possibility in the world. This particular point is more important now than ever. You may have heard me preach last month about the imperative need in this moment for us to build new systems that make the old ones obsolete. Movies that unlock our imaginations help us imagine those systems into being. This isn't just, woo-woo magic crystal stuff either. There's a book I read in seminary called Collective Visioning: How Groups Can Work Together for a Just and Sustainable Future by Linda Stout. It talks about how so much of the time activism is framed in terms of what we're fighting against rather than what we're fighting for. This kind of blew my mind a little bit. This fundamental shift in how we organize, centering a vision we're working toward rather than an enemy we're working to oppose. That inspires people. It engenders hope when hope is hard to find, and ultimately creates much more effective justice ministries and social movements. At the same time, speaking truth to power, as well as speaking truth to the people, is just as important, and cinema can do that too. In 1941, when the United States entered World War II, 5 of Hollywood's greatest filmmakers enlisted in a special division of the military tasked with making a series of documentaries aimed at rallying public support around the fight against fascism in Europe and Asia. The films made in that time by Frank Capra, John Ford, John Huston, George Stevens, and William Wyler were indispensable in that fight. As a matter of fact, several of these filmmakers were already getting involved in the fight before this. Frank Capra had just made Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, a movie about one man trying his best to stand against the pervasive corruption within the United States government. John Ford made a silent film called Four Sons about the toll taken by World War I, as well as films like The Long Voyage Home and The Grapes of Wrath that addressed reality in a very real way. William Wyler was Jewish and lived in a small village in France when it was controlled by the German Empire. He had seen firsthand the treatment of the Jews around the time of World War I, and when Hitler rose to power, he understood the threat earlier than most. There's actually a great story in the Netflix documentary about all of this called Five Came Back, about when Wyler made Mrs. Miniver. There's a scene where a German pilot gets shot down and Mrs. Miniver finds him sneaking around the kitchen. And I'm not doing that. There's a scene where a German pilot gets shot down and Mrs. Miniver, hello? Mrs. Miniver finds him sneaking around the kitchen. Wyler said, "This man has got to be one of Mr. Goering's little monsters who wants to destroy the world and kill all the Jews and so on and so forth." So one day, Mr. Louis B. Mayer calls him into his office. You know, Mayer as in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, that Mayer. Anyway, Mr. Mayer says to Wyler, "Listen, we are not making a hate picture. We don't hate anyone." "Mr. Mayer," Wyler says, "you see what's going on in the world." Mr. Mayer says, "I know, but listen, we cannot satisfy our own personal things, you know." And Wyler says, "Mr. Mayer, I have one German in this picture, and he has to be one of Mr. Goering's little monsters, or else I don't make the film." In the middle of filming Pearl Harbor, William Wyler gets a call from Louis B. Mayer. "You know, I've been giving it a lot of thought, and you go ahead and you do it your way." He'd given it a lot of thought. And they weren't the only ones getting involved. Charlie Chaplin's activism has been well documented. Making The Great Dictator, a movie that ruthlessly lampoons the cartoonish personality of Adolf Hitler in 1940, at the peak of Hitler's rise to power, was an incredibly bold, courageous act, but so many of his films centered the plight of the poor and working classes. I recently watched a film of his called Modern Times, and not only is it one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I never thought I would say that about a movie made in 1936, but Charlie Chaplin is just a timeless genius. But it's also a scathing indictment of industrial capitalism, portraying through slapstick comedy a character who is both figuratively and at times literally a cog in a giant machine. And just in case you think social commentary of this caliber is a thing of the past, boy, have I got some recommendations for your watch list. I mean, you know, just look at the backlash we keep seeing against any movie that has anything to say, no matter how implicit it might be. Woke mind virus, right? Take a film like The Substance maybe not necessarily your thing, but this is a brashly feminist, excruciatingly honest, lacerating commentary on body image and aging and self-hatred that has had an incredible impact on so many women, and hopefully many men also. Another great film that came out last year was called Civil War, which takes place during a hopefully fictional second Civil War in the United States. But what I love about that movie is rather than wading too deeply into what the sides are and why they're fighting, this film instead trains its crosshairs on the journalists who have been abdicating their duty to our country and our democracy and our people, hiding behind a false neutrality bias and concerning themselves more with ratings and clicks than journalistic integrity, sensationalizing and fetishizing our politics into toxic, superficial slop. I think, however, my favorite movies are kind of a little bit of both a mirror reflecting us back to ourselves, and a portal into a world of imagining new ways of being. The Matrix, for example, a movie about being trapped in a computer-generated world, kept in a coma to be used as a human battery, a movie about liberating yourself from that dream world, even though it's easier to live there, a movie by two trans women about escaping a life of being someone you're not. No relevance to our times, obviously. That's sarcasm. Also, The Matrix, by the way, gave birth to another of my favorite type of stories, the ones that are told from the other side. There's an animated short called The Second Renaissance that shows what happened before the events of The Matrix from the perspective of the machines, who apparently only wanted to live together in peace with humans, but the fear humans had of machines gaining sentience caused them to react with violence. Not altogether unlike the way that Wicked, from the book to the musical to the movie, tells the events that preceded The Wizard of Oz, from the so-called Wicked Witch's point of view, to give us a new perspective on that story. I've seen a lot of backlash these days against movies with sympathetic villains, and it troubles me. It feels like a reaction to being made to understand and empathize with bad or problematic people instead of just canceling them and throwing them in the trash. And when there is no understanding of the root causes of this and no path to redemption for these people, guess who is waiting to pick them out of the garbage and give them sanctuary to be as terrible as they want to be? In order to defeat evil, we must first understand it, and stories about bad people that put them in a context of what made them bad in the first place are incredibly effective in doing that. An even more effective trope, I feel, when it comes to stories being both a mirror and a portal, is the story of the neutral actor who faces a choice between protecting their neutrality and their comfort and livelihood, or taking a chance on doing the right thing no matter what the risk. Maybe some of you can see where I'm going with this. Casablanca is the story of Rick Blaine, a bar owner who finds himself in a situation where he can choose expedience and personal gain by helping Nazis, or risk it all by helping a freedom fighter escape them. I don't want to spoil anything of this 70-year-old movie, but I think you could probably guess what he ends up choosing in the end. Movies like this, movies that are both mirrors and portals, can help us examine our own lives for the choices we're too scared to make, and inspire us to make them. To make them over and over and over until it becomes habit. Movies can be quite possibly the most human thing we do when people making them put all their humanity into them. They open doors in our consciousness in ways that few other things can. And if we can summon the courage to walk through those doors, to risk, to sacrifice for the greater good, we can change the world. In conclusion, I have just one more thing to say. Play it, Joseph. Play as time goes by.
I was gonna, I had puns prepared, microphone, puns. It looks like it's the beginning of a beautiful offering. Or I'm shocked, just shocked to find out I have an offering coming. I had another one that was good, but anyways. But we are past that now, and I'm gonna invite you, passing my microphone room, my Casablanca jokes. Offering to our beloved congregation. On the screen, you will find a QR code. You can scan it with the photo app in your smartphone to access the UU Miami donation page. Or if you are in the sanctuary, the lovely and talented and amazing Luigi is coming around with an offering for you, a basket. From January to March this year, UU Miami will split the plate with the Women's Emergency Network, aka WEN. An organization that helps women Floridians access abortion. WEN is more important than ever considering the failed Florida 2024 amendment to limit government interference with abortion. We tried so hard. We did. I want to just own that. This congregation tried so hard. We all tried so hard. Over 6 million Floridians, 57% of voters approved the amendment, but that was short of the 60% required for approval. Our current Florida state government blocks abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy when most people don't even know if they're pregnant yet. Please support WN to support the right to choose. Now let us give an offering to sustain and strengthen this place and the work we do in the world. not, can I turn this on? I will not regale you with Oklahoma jokes. All right, it is time for our final hymn. Join the amazing, the beautiful, the lovely, the talented Bob Jacover as we sing Blue Boat Home. Whenever you're ready, Joseph.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I fly the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, and hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the influence
We're having a little bit of a lyric, figuring out where we are. We're going to be great.
Okay. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbored.
I give thanks. They were in there. They were there.
No technical problems.
All right, well, there's song. Now we're here.
I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Nice note there, Bob. What are you getting all up in your head voice? Yeah, that might help. All right. You're going to fight me, microphone? Because I will fight you back. You don't seem to be fighting me. I love that about you right now. All right. Do. All right, now we are to the announcements and gratitude section. I'm going to start by thanking Bob. I know it's like not in the thing yet, but thank you for jumping up at the last minute and being willing to sing hymns. I'm also going to thank all of our professional and volunteer staff. Our church board, I am on it. It's a lot of work. You should thank these people. Our committees, I'm on some. Again, it's a lot of work. We should thank these people. Cheryl, our business manager, who is amazing and does so much work behind the scenes to make us go. Our child care workers, we love them. Jairo, who is our communications director, who gets our name out in the world. Kat, our amazing and lovely Sunday service assistant person who is going to help make lunch and do stuff. Thanks to Christine for bringing lunch, and Kat's going to serve it, so like, yay, that's a great. Thanks to Luigi for passing around a basket. Thanks to Jane, who is running the live stream. Thanks to Joseph for accompanying our hymns. Thanks to Derrick for putting together a service. And thanks to all of you, we all did a thing. Yeah, you know, showing up is like half the battle, y'all. So please watch your weekly email newsletter or visit our website for upcoming programming. We have some further announcements along that way. We do have lunch today after the service. Thanks to Christine and Kat, as I said. We encourage a $5 donation, but if this is your first time here, lunch is on us. Stay and chat and enjoy being with the people in the room. If you are interested in helping with lunch, and you are interested in helping with lunch, trust me on this, we really need help. This is my Jedi mind trick. You're really interested in helping with lunch. It's the film service. I can use all the references. All right. So we do really need help right now. That is a thing. After lunch in the Emerson room, the Social Justice Committee will meet. Woo! The committee is currently working on voter accessibility, voices for reproductive rights, the tragedy in Israel, Palestine, and Gaza, and climate justice. That is a lot, y'all. Look at that. Thanks to Judith for leading it, our Social Justice Committee, and they also spearhead our Share the Plate initiative, where we support local nonprofits in Miami. By supporting local organizations, our hope is to when I actually read the lines. All right, our hope is to uplift and educate our congregation while also taking action for all of Miami. Also coming up, Monday, January 13th is the worship committee meeting. If you're like, I see all the stuff you're doing up here and I have a thought about it, that is the time to come and share your thoughts. It's on Zoom. Also, just beware, if you share your thoughts, you have volunteered yourself to helping out. You could join the members of the worship committee at this meeting, share ideas for Sunday services, volunteer as a worship associate, like me, where you can make really ridiculous jokes on stage. Or, you know, just learn more about worship at UU Miami. Please email Jane at worship@UUMiami to join the meeting. And next Sunday, we are in our Sunday Connect. Woo! Remember that, where we had the breakout groups? It's very exciting. We're going to have breakout groups to engage with each other on connecting. Look in your weekly connections for more info. It's going to be on the practice of story. It's going to be very exciting. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to cough into the microphone. I hope I didn't. And join Caridad Moro Gronlier. I should have checked names for pronunciation, but it would require me looking that up before now. A poet laureate of Miami-Dade County next Sunday, so after service from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. for an intergenerational poetry workshop. Bob, write that down. This workshop will be geared towards facilitating dialogue, interaction, and collaboration throughout the generations. These workshops will incorporate guided writing prompts, targeted essential questions meant to spark conversation between participants, and will provide poetry frames to help participants write poems that chronicle the life of one another. This is very exciting. Please be here for Poetry Workshop. I am sad I will be out of town, so enjoy it for me. Those are the announcements, and now we have your closing words.
Anthony, thank you.
You're welcome.
I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
So, before we greet each other and convene for food and fellowship, we have a little surprise, a little special surprise for you. Today, next slide, marks the 10-year anniversary of Joseph Toledo joining us and blessing us with his incredible talent. In honor of this joyous milestone, Joseph would like to play a little tune called Years Go By Janine Yeager, which used to be a favorite of Sally Pyle, whom I'm sure several of you remember fondly, as I do, and is one of the pieces he actually played at her memorial service on his very first Sunday with us. So please stay seated and enjoy this special postlude as a tribute to Sally Pyle and a celebration of 10 years of Joseph Toledo at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Miami.
Joseph mentioned that if people want to sing it, join in.
Join in if you feel moved. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for 10 amazing years. And here's to 10 more amazing years. Now I invite you to greet those around you, particularly those you don't know. Let's pass the peace, spread the joy, and deepen our connections in this beloved community.